All right, it's the Fake Spike Podcast, episode 92, a video episode. We're going to try this on YouTube and do it the right way. Rob the Darksider here. I've done Rob the Darksider videos with just me for like a couple of minutes, but this will be the first time I've got a full podcast on YouTube. So welcome. Thank you very much. Check us out on every podcast channel. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you know where to find us on video, but you can chat on Facebook, wherever else. Anyway. Merry Christmas. Hope everybody had a great Christmas. It is the day after Christmas, and I wanted to get on last night, but I was with the family. But somehow the New York Jetropolitans got 4 miracles. They needed a miracle to still be in it this weekend. They could have been eliminated this weekend, and what happened instead was they now have a very good chance of making the playoffs if they can find a way to win these games. So, I mean, this is looking like 2009 all over again. All right, if you remember 2009, they had a rookie quarterback, slightly different scenario, of course. Rookie quarterback, fairly ready-made team. They were losing games 9-6 to bad teams. It looked really bleak, and we're frustrated, angry. And the coach even said, like, obviously we're out of the playoffs, just like Saleh did the other day. I mean, this is really starting to parallel. So the Jets in 2009 go into the final couple of games needing to beat the Colts, who were 14-0 at the time. So you're like, all right, well, what chance do the Jets have? The Colts get off to a lead and then take their guys out in the second half. Jets come back, win a tight game, and then they go and win the final game of the year and sneak into the playoffs. They needed to beat Cincinnati on that last week. Excuse me, after a couple of guys got a couple of teams lost and gave them the opportunity to win it in, right? They flexed that game to Sunday night. Coldest game I can remember. Oh my God, 2 degrees with a wind chill of -10. Thank God it wasn't too windy, but wind chill -10. And here I am tailgating with my friend sitting at the top of the stadium and watch the Jets blow out the Bengals 37-0 to get in the playoffs. And as Jet fans, we all know what happened next. They won 2 road games, and they get into they get to Indianapolis for the championship game, and the Colts didn't make the mistake of sitting their guys this time. So starting to really look a lot like 2009 in a lot of ways. A team that seems like it's on the cusp of being ready. It needs a quarterback. Obviously, that was Mark Sanchez, was a young quarterback then. Zach Wilson, the quarterback now. Team looking bad and really, really awful. Just like you give up, you're ready to say, season's over. Let's go on to next year. And then the miracles start. Teams start losing, and the Jets have a shot. They need to win their last 2 games. That sounds very familiar, right? Here's the big difference, right? Back then, Sanchez was the guy. They had to roll with him no matter what. He was pretty much the only guy, and he wasn't nearly as bad as Zach Wilson is now. The big difference here is that the Jets have a decision to make at the quarterback position. And I'm telling you, there is no excuse, none whatsoever, no excuse to put Zach Wilson in there again. None. I don't care what your justification is. I don't care about any of this bullshit narrative about having to find out what you have. You know what you have right now, and that's important. That's the important part. You know what you have right now. You can worry about his future later. You can worry about his rookie contract and whether you made a bad draft pick later. Right now, you've got a team that is fairly ready to win. I'm not going to say they're ready to win the Super Bowl, but that team is ready to make some kind of run. Whether even if it's 1 game, they're ready to get into the playoffs. They basically start the playoffs now. You have a 2-game playoff to get into the playoffs. So for the Jets right now, it's the playoffs. It's win and you continue and at least have a chance, or you lose and go home. So Mark, going back to 2009 again. Zach Wilson cannot be your quarterback for this Seattle game coming up or the Miami game after that. Not unless every other quarterback comes down with some kind of decapitating injury or illness. You got 3 other guys. Hopefully Mike White is cleared to play. If Mike White is okay and he's ready to go, then you got a fairly good shot of winning there. If it's not White, it has to be Flacco. I know everybody drilled him, including me. He stinks. He's not whatever. Joe Flacco is an older guy. He came in cold. I think if he's prepared and he's not coming in the middle of a game cold, and that's in that ridiculous weather they were having in Buffalo, Flacco will be adequate. You don't need more than adequate here. Just think of how bad Zach's been, and with the exception of this last Jacksonville game, the Jets have been in these games, right? Adequate quarterback play will be okay. Of course, there's concern that Flacco can't move, but you need to, a lot of this depends on the Jets winning and being smart. You need to design something to make sure that he's protected in that pocket and that he has time to get the receivers the ball. It's that simple. If you can't design that, then it doesn't matter. You're not winning these games anyway. But whatever happens, you cannot, please, Salah, Douglas, anybody else involved here, you cannot go to your team and say, okay, guys, we got what we needed. We are ready to make this run now. Here's Zach. He's going to be starting for you Sunday. You can't do that. You cannot tell your team that Zach Wilson is your best chance to win, because it's not this year at this time in this exact moment. It is not about what's best for the team long term. It is about what's best for your team now. And there's rookies on this team. There's young guys on this team that have never made the playoffs. Obviously, the rookies have never made the playoffs. They're here for the first time. Who knows what happens between injuries, guys leaving, bad years. They may not be in this position again. We saw this in 2015. The Jets, we were like, oh, thank God they're back on track. No, we haven't seen shit since, right? We saw this in 2010. The Jets were a good team. They went 11-5. They make the championship game. We're like, okay, we're on the cusp here. The Jets had sold out and traded everything for that chance to win, and then we've had a decade of crap since then. You just never know if this is going to come around again, and you can't tell players who were 2 years ago, last year, 3 years ago, whenever it was, when the Jets were 3-12, 3-13, then you could say, okay, well, it's not about winning this game. Well, of course, we're going to try and win this game, but it's not about winning this game per se. It's about building our future. You could sell that then. It was teams were 3-12, 2-14, whatever the hell they were. You could get away with that. Here, you cannot get away with telling your team that the guy that is one of the main reasons that they have to be on the bubble to begin with, who they clearly do not respond well to, who they don't like. It's almost a fact at this point that the team does not like playing for Zach Wilson. You cannot go to your team and say, this is your guy going forward. He's going to be our best chance to get in. You can't do that. Your best chance is what you go with here. This is a special moment in time that is rare for the Jets, but in a general sense, it is rare for a team to be in a position where it has to make a decision between the good of the long-term team and the good of the now team. And the Jets have to be good for the now team. It cannot be Zach Wilson. You go with Flacco, you go with Streveler as a mix-it-up guy, and you hope for the best. Hopefully White's healthy. We don't have to worry about it, but it can't be Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson cannot see the field again this year unless the Jets lose in Seattle, and then you want to stick him in there to the Wolves, to the Miami game. That's fine. But this has to be about team now. This is it. We haven't been in the playoffs in 12 years. We haven't had a chance to get in the playoffs in 7 years. You have a legitimate shot here. Okay, none of these games are unwinnable. Miami is in a massive tailspin. So if you can go into Miami with the chance to beat them and get in, you got a shot. Seattle, yes, very tough place to play, not unwinnable. The way the Jets are playing now, anything's unwinnable, but that isn't the point. This is not, you have to go into Kansas City, you have to go into Buffalo, you have to go into San Francisco and win. That's not that. It's not that. You have a legitimate chance to get into playoffs here. All you need to do is win your 2 games, and you need the Patriots to lose 1. Patriots are playing Miami and Buffalo. There's a pretty good chance they lose one of those games. If they don't, then hey, you win both your games. You go 9-8. You gave it the old college try. But Zach Wilson cannot be the guy leading you into the playoffs. It just can't. It can't. After he's been benched twice, one for attitude, and the second time for performance, you cannot tell your team you're going back to Zach Wilson. I don't think the Jets will. I mean, I know the Jets are dumb. They've done a lot of stupid things over the years. I cannot see them going to Zach Wilson here. It would be a kick in the balls for the team. I'm not going to say for the fans. For us, it is. But we have to deal with whatever they decide to do. You cannot go to Garrett Wilson. You cannot go to, everybody, Elijah Moore. You can't go to your defense and say Zach Wilson's going to be your guy. You just cannot do it. Do not same old Jets me on this one. Don't do it. Do not do it. It cannot be Zach Wilson. I cannot say that enough. Cannot. I never use the word cannot. I say can't. Cannot be Zach Wilson. Don't do it, Jets. Don't do it. I'm confident you won't, but there's that part of me that my balls are always sore from you kicking me. Don't do it. No Zach Wilson. All right. Nice short one today. First YouTube video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back for a preview of Seattle a little bit later in the week. I will be heading out to Seattle on Friday to see the Jets there. Hey, man, have a great week. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year coming up. Be good.